Mishnah Vav. We talked about it a little bit before. So now we're going to discuss, you remember we said that there are, when you push away the Shabbat for circumcision, you're only allowed to do what's necessary for the circumcision. You're not allowed to do extra stuff. Okay. So there's going to be the question now, what is extra stuff when it comes to circumcision? Of what is it? So in order to understand, just before we have to start, let's just explain how the circumcision works. Now, I'm not an expert in it, but a little bit I do know. So usually you have the head of the organ over here, and this is the gid. This is the thing, and you have like a crown on top, right? So what the Moed takes is going to take the foreskin, he's going to pull it above, completely above like this, completely above, and pull it, and then he will cut it right over the head. He will cut it right over the head. And this is called the mila. And then there's the priya. He will take the skin that is covering, and he will tear it. By a baby, it's very, very, it's nothing. It's like a small little skin. It's very, that's right. And he will go, he goes like this. By a baby, it's nothing. It's like a small little skin. And he will tear it down, and then he will roll it down. That's called the priya. But sometimes, even when you do the priya, there's some pieces of skin on top of the head. That's called tzitzin. Yeah, so we'll have to discuss this one a little bit. Okay. Elu hen tzitzin. These are the tzitzin. Nimei ha'or shenisharu min ha'arla. There's pieces of skin that remained from the foreskin. Ha'me'akvin et ha'milah. And this tzitzin says this milah is no good, which means that the Moed has to continue to do it until, because there's no circumcision yet. שכל זמן שלא הוסרו, as long as they didn't do they're not removed, אין התינוק נחשב כמהול. It says the תינוק is not considered like he's circumcised. So it says, בשר החופה את רוב העטרה, the flesh that is covering the head completely, the majority of the head, אם נשאר מאור הערלה אור המכסה את רוב גובהו של העטרה, if there's remains from the skin of the foreskin, enough skin that it covers the head of the crown, it means it covers the head. היינו השפה הגבוהה מקפת את הגיד, this is the crown, וממנה משתפע ויורד לראשו, from it comes to its head, וכבר הזכרנו, we already mentioned, שהסרת אור זה דוחה את השבת, that you have to completely remove it, because that's the circumcision, it's part of the circumcision. כלומר and what does it mean? It means that he closed the diaper already, and he gave it. And then the mother opens and she says, hey, Moel, what happened? What's with this? He has to go back now, because he didn't do the circumcision yet. כלומר שלאף שלאחר כבר סילק המוהל את ידו מן המילה בשבת, even after he thought he's finished his job. כלומר, שהרי הוא חוזר ומסיר את האור שנשאר, he has to go back and remove it completely. הואיל והוא ציצה מעכב את המילה, because this is a ציץ that says this baby is not circumcised. ברם, אם לא נשאר מן האור אלא מעט, but if from the skin remains a little bit, in other words, it doesn't go over the majority of the crown, it just goes a little bit in the bottom, שאינו חופה את רוב גובהו של העטרה, it doesn't cover the majority of the crown, it's just a little bit in the bottom. It should be removed, but the baby is considered to be circumcised, so therefore you're not mechal Shabbos. Once you removed your hand, if you're still busy, you can continue to do it. But once you removed your hand, wait for tomorrow to do it. Now it's not, because it's circumcised already. וזהו ציץ שאינו מעכב את המילה. This is considered a ציץ that doesn't push away the מילה. ואומנם כל זמן שהמוהל עסוק במילה בשבת, but as long as he is busy with his hands over there, חוזר אף על הציצים שאינם מעכבים. He has to go back also for these ones. אבל לאחר שסילק ידו מן המילה בשבת, but after he removed his hand, על ציצים שאינם מעכבים אינו חוזר. On ציצים that are not, that still the milah is good, he's not allowed to go back. And we already mentioned that in Mishnah Bet. ואינו אוכל בתרומה. He also does not eat in truma. What does that mean? אם הנימול הוא כהן, if the baby is a kohen, ונשאר עליו אור החופה את רוב העטרה, and he...
How?
Because he...
Oh, the guy, אבל if the רוב, אז it's not good.
I know. So it gives you an example. It says, what happened if he was circumcised, but it wasn't a good circumcision? There's a still say. So it says this baby, you would think maybe because he was kind of, the milah is gone, maybe he's allowed to eat truma, the baby. Because he was circumcised. But he wasn't circumcised with the thing. He says, no, which means there's no milah there. There's nothing good over there. Even for truma, it's not considered to be a good milah. It's not good milah, it's not a good milah. Dino kohen arel. It says he is just like an uncircumcised kohen. ולמדים בגזרה שווה תרומה מקורבן פסח. We learn it in a גזרה שווה truma from Pesach. So it says, תושב ושכיר לא יאכל בו. It says, a resident should not eat in it, which means a non-Jew may not eat the Pesach sacrifice. וכן בתרומה נאמר, תושב כהן ושכיר לא יאכל קודש. It says, תושב כהן and שכיר is not allowed to be holy. מה פסח אסור להרל? Just like Pesach is not allowed to be eaten to somebody who's a Jew even, but he's not circumcised. שנאמר, וכל ערל לא יאכל בו. It says, an uncircumcised person is not allowed to eat the Pesach sacrifice. אף תרומה אסורה לכהן ערל. Also, truma is forbidden to kohen arel. Oh, this is an interesting concept. I've actually seen it happen. There's babies who are born very fat. So you know, by a baby, the member is very, very small. So even after the kohen does everything, because he's got a lot of fat everywhere, it looks like he's not circumcised. Yeah. So what do you do in such a case? Because he did everything correctly, but then it went back inside. You know, it like goes back inside, and the flesh comes around the top again because of all the fat of the baby. Oh, so theoretically it's good. It's a good circumcision, but it doesn't have a good look. So over here, just because of Maris Ain, it says. So the question is the Kohen, is the Mohel, allowed to do the circumcision extra? But now it's not for because it's good or not good. It is a good circumcision. Oh, it's because plastic surgery. It's just for cosmetic purposes. It's not for mitzvah purposes almost. That's the question. ואם היה בעל בשר, if the baby had a lot of flesh, אם התינוק היה שמן, it was a fat baby. ולאחר שנתלה העורלה, and after you cut the foreskin, כולה, all of it, you did a good job. נראה עדיין כאילו חופה האור את רוב העטרה. It looks like it's still, the flesh is on the majority of the things. You have to go back again like this. מתקנו ומסיר את הבשר מן העטרה. Even though we know between us that when the baby is going to grow, it's going to be good just because he's a baby now and it's the flesh. It's just cosmetic surgery. In other words, it's not necessary. Go ahead and do it. Just for Maritain. מפני Maritain. He says, so even on Shabbat, he says, that's a question. On Shabbat, are you allowed to do the Marit Ain job? So he tells you, yes, even the Marit Ain job, you know, the cosmetic surgery, you're allowed to do on Shabbat. שלא יהיה נראה כערל. That we don't want him to look like uncircumcised. What happened? mal ולא פרה את המילה. He cut the foreskin, but he didn't bend it back, like we said. לעיל משנה ב' למדנו, before on משנה ב' we learned, שמוהלים היינו חותכים את כל האור המכסה את העטרה עד שתתגלה כל העטרה. We learned that you cut the entire foreskin until the head is revealed, ואחר כך פורעים מן הקרום הרך שלמטה מן האור עד שיראה בשר העטרה. ואם מל ולא פרה את המילה, כאילו לא מל. So if a person cut the foreskin but he didn't bend it backwards, it's like he didn't do nothing. כאילו לא מל. It's like he didn't circumcise. וחייב ולחזור ולפרוע. And he needs to go back and to bring it down. ואף על פי שכבר שנינו ברישה שבשר חופה את רוב העטרה מעכב את המילה. But what if the flesh does not מעכב? You know, it's a little bit of flesh on top of the head, but it's not the רוב, it's not the majority. מכל מקום בא הספר להשמיענו, nevertheless, the end comes to teach us. שאימל בשבת ולא פורה, it depends. It says, if he didn't do that at all, even though that's not the majority, it's not a good circumcision. If he did it and then it came back, it's a good circumcision. But if he didn't even do it, it's not good circumcision at all. לא קיים מצוות מילה, it says, he didn't do the מילה at all. ונמצא שחילל את השבת. And not only that, now he's desecrated Shabbat because he didn't do circumcision, he just did an operation. You're not allowed to do operations on Shabbat, there's no circumcision there. שהרי עשה חבורה שלא מקום מצווה, because he just made an operation and didn't do the commandment. Up to here.